Hey, what's up, gamers? It's your boy Church of Caboose, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video, we're going to be talking about how to get through the Disgraced Nightfall, but not in like great detail, more like broad strokes of things to do, because this has been a GM before, but there are things that we can do to make our lives a little bit easier. We'll probably also talk a little bit about why we, or at least I, am farming out this Grandmaster, and that is going to be the video. So if you do enjoy it, make sure you click the like button as well as subscribe to my channel. So without wasting any more time, let's get into it. But first, talking about why it's worth farming for this Grandmaster, because if you don't want to do it for the way why I'm doing it, then you probably just don't want to deal with it. So let's go ahead and start with that. Militia's Birthright is the weapon that is dropping this week from the Nightfall, and it is the Disgraced. If you're a Destiny 1 player, it's basically a remake of Omnigulus, right? So that's why we are farming for this, is because of the Militia's Birthright. It is a grenade launcher. It uses special ammo that goes in the kinetic slot, which is pretty nice because then it can free up some of your energy slot stuff, and you can get rolls on this that remind me, at least, of the truth teller that I used to have and use all the time that had auto loading, blinding grenades, and demolitionist. With Militia's Birthright, you can get auto loading and blinding grenades, and it really doesn't matter what's in the other slot because the main thing you're going for here is blinding grenades and auto loading. Slideways would be a fantastic second option. Why? Because this grenade launcher can blind all your enemies, and with having different burns and stuff like that and more weapon archetypes that fall into these different energy and kinetic slots, it just frees up your weapon slot and your energy to have some different options that you maybe wouldn't have if you currently only have like an O-Rings Maul or that solar grenade launcher or truth teller that have blinding grenades and auto loading. So it just kind of gives you another way to flip it. To my knowledge, it is also the only grenade launcher, at least that uses special ammo, that is adept. So you can put on stuff like the adept big ones, which means you'll do more damage. I am very curious if having on something like blast radius will increase the effective area of blinding grenades. Maybe not, probably not, I don't know. I want to find out, and that might be something I try and fool around with later. So Militia's Birthright is why I am going to be going and farming after this Grandmaster. And so without further ado, let's talk about some ways to try and make this Grandmaster a little bit easier. Alright, so for some character builds and all that stuff, to start off with weapons, we need things like anti-barrier and unstoppable. So Arbalest will always be a great choice because there's also solar and arc shields, and there is an arc burn. So I ended up finding a really effective farming thing that worked out really well with me, as well as someone named Cyberella. We met up in a Discord chat for the Fundament. They have this Discord server called the Lighthouse, and we were just farming out GMs last night, and it went really well, and we weren't able to talk to each other because for whatever reason Cyberella wasn't able to communicate back with their voice, so they could hear me in our Discord chat, but they weren't really able to as effectively as just talk. They were sending text messages. So I feel like if we're able to do this with pretty much bare bones communication, this should probably work pretty well for you guys, and we did this with a number of groups. We ended up finding that having Arbalest was super helpful. It kind of gave up the options of worrying about shields. You can kind of just run whatever works best for you as long as you had Arbalest, because Arbalest doesn't care about shield types. All right, and then I happen to mostly end up running Arbalest with an Insidious. I had crafted one with Vorpal and Rapid Hit, and then a crafted Cataclysmic with Bait and Switch and 4 times the Charm. That just seemed to work really well. However, an Arc Linear like Storm Chaser will also be great because it's Arc Burn. So you can keep that in mind. I just ended up using Cataclysmic because 1, I kept running out of RB ammo, and then 2, it just does more damage, and I wanted to try it out, and so I tried it out, and I really liked it. So for subclasses, we had usually 2 people on Titan using the Crest of Inmost Light, the Heart of Inmost Light, that chest piece that gives you increased abilities. When you throw one, it charges the others, and that with lightning grenades, it had Lightning Strikes Twice, which is a seasonal mod that goes on your class item piece. I believe it's 7 energy, and that worked really well. Even when I was the only one that had it for 1 or 2 runs, it was great. So if you're able to do that, and have your discipline as high as you can get it without absolutely tanking your other stats. So if you have to, take away all your resilience mods, which help you have an easier time staying alive, put into discipline, so if you get moderate discipline, I would just keep your high resilience. But if you got armor pieces that let you have some nice balance of everything and have at least tier 7 resilience, and that's probably what I would do, and that's what I did. Also, we were using Halloween masks, and I just, the stats aren't really there for those, and so I didn't care quite as much about having ridiculously high resil as I normally would, because I lost my helmet when we were doing these. For other characters, of course, an Omni Hunter will be just fine. Go invis and do stuff like that. The Arc will be good too. Well, Warlock is also great, but you can't really go wrong either with the Stasis subclass or using Arc as an Arc Soul, but I would mostly suggest either doing Stasis or Well if you're on Warlock. For Titan, really just either do Bubble or the Arc, preferably Arc, and then for a Hunter, Omni, whatever. There's not a whole lot. This is one of those few Nightfalls where you can kind of run what you want, and it works really well. Like Cyberella is the only person I've seen and played with that used a glaive and a sword and a GM, and it worked for them. I was like, what? So this is one of those Grandmasters. It's not crazy hard. It just takes a little bit of getting used to, and you can kind of run whatever you want. So to start off the actual Grandmaster itself, you're going to load in, hop on your Sparrow, zoom on up, you get to these stairs and the first room of ads. I found initially getting into that room was pretty challenging. You have a lot of times where you got servitors that are teleporting all over the place. They're going down the stairs. They're shielding enemies through walls and stuff. It's just a really weird area. I don't know if it's supposed to be like this. I don't know if it's buggy. It's just for some reason this season, and I think this is like the second, maybe third season this has been a Grandmaster. For some reason this season it feels worse than it has been, and it just really stuck out to me. So just be aware of that. It's not uncommon to lose a couple of revives in this part. So if you're able to, I found some decent success by just throwing up a lightning grenade, letting it kind of do its thing. Sometimes a champion will pop its shield up where you can shoot the champion. Other times the shield comes up and it will temporarily not be shielding and making the ads around it immune, and so then you can kill some of those ads and just kind of work your way through it, and that worked out pretty well for us. Sometimes it was a really quick fight. Sometimes it took a while, kind of depended upon server connections or something. I don't even know why I was so teleporty. Then for the rest of that room, it's pretty much no big deal. Lots of storm grenades. Be aware that there's ads that spawn out of everywhere, so if you push in too far without paying a whole lot of attention, it's really easy to get overwhelmed really quick. But thankfully, if you're an Arc with the storm grenade and lightning strikes twice, you can kind of save yourself quite a bit, but you can kill yourself with that grenade too, because the first blast sometimes will damage you if you're too close to it. Then you just go on through, get to the next main room where you kind of go up some stairs. A champion spawned in that little stairway. You kill all those ads on the champion, then you go up to a bigger open room that's got like 2 shriekers and ships and wizards and anti-barriers and stuff. And same deal, grenade, arc grenade things, and all that stuff is going to be your best friend. And that is basically how this whole Grandmaster works. Is you want to throw down as many of those arc grenades with the Titan as you can, because with lightning strikes twice, it lasts longer. You can put things on your character that make it where the build actually goes, where the grenades go last for longer, do more damage and stuff. And I did a thing with that not that long ago, and I'll link a video. I'll put a card to it right here, so that way if you're like, what kind of Titan build is he talking about, well then you got a video for it right there, so you don't spend a lot of time on this video just talking about something we've already talked about. Alright, so we're doing lots and lots of arc grenades, throwing up all your abilities so you can charge up more arc grenades, and ideally do this differently than I kept forgetting to switch from the little sky mini thunder crash thing to the thunder clap, which is like the melee where you charge it up, and like that. The thunder clap would be a way better melee ability to use for Grandmasters than the little mini thunder crash. So if you're able to switch that, that's something that I didn't do that I meant to do the whole time we were recording, and I kept forgetting. Alright, so pretty much just go through it nice and slow, do your thing, and then eventually you'll get to the boss room. The boss room can be kind of tricky until you learn the order of when stuff happens. Let me just kind of tell you what that is. So you're in the boss fight area. Omnigul, or I guess Novita is what she's called now, spawns in that little circle thing. there's enemies down there, I would just throw a storm grenade. I'm going to break the shields, and you just do damage. Eventually, she will teleport, and that is when the real fun begins. Once she teleports, and then we're going to have a lot more ads that come in. This is where having more of these storm grenades is really handy. On that left side of the boss room, opposite where you walked in, there are a lot of ads spawn, mostly acolytes. Maybe there's an ogre or two. Eventually there's unstoppables. And the cursed thralls and things. And just throwing down a storm grenade and just doing as many of those as you can and just shooting things, that's going to help out quite a bit. Once you clear all those, Novita will pop up on the bridge that is right by where you guys are all at and where all the ads are at. That's in the middle of that like higher level of the main room, because you know Novita spawns down kind of like in the basement. Well, the bridge is up on the main floor of the boss fight area. Up there, break shield, just do damage. Eventually they teleport, but sometimes a bunch of thralls will come out while you're doing damage, so you just want to kind of pay attention a little bit. Here for Novita, I found storm grenades to be fantastic because you kind of want to save your heavy for the oh crap kinds of stuff, or like if you're getting towards the end and you just want to burn through it. I mean, depending upon whichever you have, use it, don't use it. I just personally prefer to hang on to mine a little bit more, partly because with using Arbalest and Cataclysmic, those are limited ammo things, and in order to maximize Cataclysmic, I need to have Arbalest ammo, and so I try to be sparing with those until I was like, hey, I'm set up, I'm going to do a lot of damage. Otherwise, I like break a shield, throw a storm grenade, and then use my pulse rifle because it's arc burn, and Cedius is arc, so no, it worked out fairly well. For the most part, there's mostly two of us doing damage. Cyberella would sometimes rush the boss with their sword and do their thing. Sometimes, maybe usually they got killed, but like, hey, it was fine. Like, we kept getting clears and stuff. So we were doing a lot of the main sustained damage, and so that just kind of worked well for me with kind of hanging on to Arbalest and heavy, other than to break the shields. Then once Novita teleports again and goes immune, that's when we have a lot of ads on the left side come in. There's a bunch of not barrier knights, but knights with arc shields. There's an unstoppable ogre, and then down the basement, not too long after that, they come in the rest of these ogres and stuff. So it's just a lot of enemy clearings. If you kind of have the tendency to stay on the right side of the room, more in the area where you entered the boss arena at, it kind of works out fairly well. There's not really anything that's spawning behind you or on top of you. They either spawn from the basement or they spawn from the left side, and so it kind of gives you a little bit of distance, and throwing those storm grenades works well. Well, of course, is something you can use to help with doing some boss damage. One of our runs, someone put a well down at Novita's feet, and Cyberella went ham with their sword, and it was kind of fun. And then eventually, after you clear through those ads, they'll disappear, Novita will appear, and this time, Novita will be like in the basement thing, and then that's when you want to wreck her. So basically, throughout this entire Grandmaster, there's just lots of things that can sneak up and kill you. You got Invisible Marauders for the fallen part, you got Exploding Thrall for pretty much everything that's hive related, and then of course with the arc burn wizards and their arc blasts and stuff just do way more damage. The knights all have like night boomer things, like they're arcs, and those do a lot of damage to you. There's just a lot of stuff that can really take you out really quickly, and I hope this video helps you guys out with doing this. I really don't think anyone needs like a specific room by room, step by step thing. Part of that's because I wanted to talk long enough where I could cover and just put a lot of that stuff, just gameplay on screen, because then you can see it, because I don't think there's really like specific directions like stand here, do that. It's more like here's this general area, kind of do this thing, mess with it, it should be fine. I don't think there's like a one way only to beat this, like we did it with a sword and a glaive. So you know, just do your thing and farm that Militia's Birthright. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the video because I want to get back to farming. I'm really hoping to get blinding grenades and auto loading, just because then I've got an adept grenade launcher that has that option, and then 2, it frees up my energy slot to do whatever I want, which could be nice if I end up doing day 1 raids or more solo content or whatever, to have that flexibility between my kinetic and energy slots. Let me know down below what worked out well for you guys, if this video helped you out, and thank you guys all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If this did help you out, or you just enjoyed this kind of content, please click the like button, as well as subscribe to my channel. Again, let me know if this was helpful, and as well as what strategies and weapons you and your fire team used, because the more we share, the more likely other people are to beat this, and that's just kind of a cool thing. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I am Church of Caboose. Have a great week and happy grinding, y'all.